Hello, humans! Welcome to the third episode of Over the Hump. I'm Pablo, and this is that's
I'm
Joe.
Joe.
And today we have a very special guest. Yeah, we're interviewing we're interviewing alumni from Brent. He's currently coaching a basketball team. So this is gonna be a sports focused, sports oriented podcast. So we hope you guys have fun. So hey guys, welcome back to the podcast. I'm Pablo and that's Joe. And today we have a guest, an alumni from Brent. Would you mind introducing yourself?
Hi, my name's Paolo Layug. What am I? What was I? Batch '05 from Brent. I'm a coach now for a college team and a semi-professional team right now. So,
So the main topic is sports. You said you're a coach, right?
yep.
So did playing sports in high school like affect the way you saw your future? Like did it influence you to become a coach for a college team?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's a funny story, but what happened was that my freshman coach, Ben Compton, had a really big influence on my life. So we were on I don't know how it is right now. There was an aspirants team during my time. So we had like a freshman team, which is basically all ninth graders, and we had one or two eighth graders, like JV team, and then a varsity team. So when I played, I was on the freshman team, and then I was not good at all. I was short and slow, and I was a third string point guard. But for some reason, I was able to stick it out. My second year, I became captain of JV. Then junior year, made varsity. Senior year, captain of what was it? Yeah, captain of team varsity, and we had APAC at home, and luckily we won a championship. But I actually started coaching when I was a junior. I was coaching the middle school team for a while, and then a little bit also in my senior year. So I always wanted to coach because I knew I wouldn't be able to play at a higher level. Because I maybe more than other kids from Brent, I had a lot of basketball friends who were outside of Brent. So I had a good idea of how the basketball like landscape was. So I knew I wasn't going to be good enough to play, but I loved the game. I always knew I wanted to coach. I always knew I would be a better coach than I would be a player. So yeah.
Well, for you, what was like the biggest change in your mindset from being a player to a coach?
Um, for me, well, the thing is, I always wanted, like, even when I was playing, I wanted to coach already. That's why when I was a junior, I was playing in varsity, but I was also coaching the middle school team. I always knew that this is what I wanted to do. But as I said, I think the biggest influence in my life was Bubba. Ben Compton was my coach, and I saw how one person, like especially more specifically a coach, could really impact young people's lives, and that's what I wanted to do. And I always felt that sports could help give discipline and guidance and direction in life. So I wanted to, have that type of impact on young people, and I'm hoping that in the future somehow, maybe who knows, maybe I can coach in Brent one day. I'd love to do that.
That'd be cool. So right after you graduated high school, did you like immediately try to become a coach, or did you have to go through like some sort of training to become a coach?
Okay, so unlike in other countries, more specifically in Europe, they have academies where you can learn to be a coach, and you have to get licensed. Here, it's not like that at all. Most of the coaches are former players or they grow up in basketball families. So for me, I think very similar to whoever's listening to this podcast, you're going to get a lot of expectations from your parents of what you should do or what they think you should do, and parents mean well. They only want what's best for their kids, of course. So of course, when I went to college, my parents thought I should take up some business course or something like that, and I would try to coach here and there on the side, but it wasn't anything serious. So I kind of went into after I graduated, I took up management economics in Ateneo, minored in finance. So I was kind of like in that financial world for a bit. Became a forex analyst for about 4.5 years. But it was one of those cliche stories where I didn't find my job fulfilling, even though I was getting paid well. I had a great boss, great coworkers. I just always felt that there was something missing in my life, which was basketball.
So, like regarding this quarantine, how has it affected your coaching or your ability to coach your teams?
Well, obviously, it's for the long part we weren't able to have any practices, so a lot of our sessions would be more with the strength and conditioning coach, where you just give them workouts and they'd have to make do with what they have at home. So a lot of functional training. If they had access to weights, they were lucky. But this is why I think being a coach is more than just it's more than a sport. So what we did for our team at CSB, it's like we're really about building character and developing young men. So a lot of these guys, a lot of our players are Filipinos who grew up abroad and who went here for college to play basketball on a scholarship. So maybe 8 or 9 guys who are like that. So in a way, us and our staff is a kind of a young staff. We're all around 33 to 37 years old, which is relatively young in to be a coach. So for us, we're kind of like their older brothers, kuyas, or we're basically their family. So what we did was we decided not to focus so much on basketball, but what we made them do was we had this activity where every week someone would present on a random topic, any topic that he found interesting. And it was kind of eye-opening because some of our guys, like you didn't know that those are some of their hobbies. I mean, they're more than just basketball players. They're more than just athletes. So we had one guy, he's like 6'6", I think, and his topic was like kite battling and kite flying.
Oh
Yeah, so I was
wow.
like, I didn't know that. Yeah, and he presented it. He showed all his kites, the designs, and he explained all the rules. And it was really interesting. And then we had some other guys who are some are Phil-Italian. They would talk about the Colosseum or Italian culture. One guy's from New Zealand. He was talking about tourism in New Zealand. And I think it's very I found it really interesting, especially coming from Brent, where the student population is very diverse. I'm sure you guys have a lot of classmates from
Mhm.
all over the world, Koreans, Australian, American, wherever they're from. So for me, I'm comfortable with our guys, and it was nice to know more about them, and also good for their teammates to learn more about each other, especially during a time like this where none of us can really play sports right now. So you guys still have CAS hours?
Yeah, we still do.
Yeah,
This is part
because
of our cast as
yeah,
well.
yeah, this is
Okay,
our
that makes
project.
sense. That makes sense because that's actually one reason why I coached also, because I needed to do
Oh,
something for service. So I was like, I'll coach. That's giving back to the school.
yeah, like doing
So
something you like and like getting credit for it. That's super fun.
yeah,
Yeah, that's actually what we do sometimes. We actually help out in the band room with some little kids, mostly fifth graders.
I have a question about coaching. So, like, from a coach's perspective, what do you think is the best way to improve on the sport? Is it just hours of repeating practices, or is it more like finding what you're bad at and trying to improve on that?
okay. So that's it. Very interesting. I don't know if how there's like a school of thought where like you should specialize in something. That's what some people believe. I tend, especially lately, I read this book called Range. I believe that if you take up or you how do I explain this? You should be able to use the lessons that you learn from different disciplines and apply them to different disciplines. So for example, let's just take some random example, chess and basketball. You'd think that they have nothing in common, but chess teaches you how to think how many steps ahead. That's something that you can use in basketball as well. So for me, I'm a believer that of course you need the reps. You need to spend time on whatever sport you're playing. But there's always complementary skills that you can learn from different fields and disciplines that you can apply to whatever you're in. So for example, for me, um, I used to be a forex analyst. So it's a lot of number crunching, a lot of looking at trends and analyzing data. So how was I able to translate that to coaching? So I just applied the same skills that I learned from forex trading, and I applied it to basketball. It's just for me, it's the same skills. You're just studying a different field. So, in my opinion, and I think there's a lot of studies that support it, is I don't think you need to specialize, especially if you're young. I think you can get good at several different things because I think it's especially in today's world where you have to be really flexible, and you guys are gonna learn this when you enter the workforce. It's you might start off as, let's say you wanted to be, for example, a banker, and then you might end up in something totally different like tech or being a teacher, whatever it is. So the important thing is to take the lessons of whatever you're currently studying or whatever lessons you've learned in the past and applying it in different ways.
So, so Paulo, I was looking, I was looking at your website like yesterday, and I saw you were tweeting about the finals. So, what team are you for?
Okay, just to clarify, okay, because people might think I'm a bandwagon fan, okay, but I was born in LA, so I've always been a Lakers fan. But I'm not like one of those crazy Laker fans. I'm just because I'm a coach, so I just say it how it is. So obviously I'm for the Lakers. Have a lot of respect for Miami, and I really thought they were gonna do well
Yeah,
because I started studying their team a lot more during the start of the bubble. And when I was watching them, like they're fun to watch.
yeah.
I like their offense more than I like the Lakers. But the Lakers have, two generational talents, and it's going to be hard. And they play great defense. I think that's underrated. People are saying like, oh, Miami's about hard work, teamwork, playing hard. But if you look at the Lakers, they're the ones who have a top five defense, top three defense, I think, this year. And Miami has a middle of the pack defense. So I think you have to take that into consideration. They have a really good defense.
Well, personally, I'm also for the Lakers. My family's been like rooting for the Lakers since I was like born. So but like this year, I've actually been watching more Pelican games than Lakers because they're really fun to watch.
The Pelicans,
And yeah, I was a big Lonzo fan because he was in the Lakers.
that's
So
right.
when he got traded, I still followed his games and watched all the highlights of Zion.
They have a they have a good young core. Uh, they don't have a new coach yet. I think. I actually
Yeah,
thought they were going to make the playoffs, but they just
same.
came up short. Yeah, so they could be a good team going forward, though. They have a nice nucleus.
Yeah, what my friends and I have been talking about is like how good that team would be if they signed D'Antoni. Like they would play like the 2005 Suns with Nash and Stoudemire.
Oh, they might. Yeah, that would be pretty interesting. They'd probably make Zion play the five.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't know what
Pablo,
you
do you
guys
have
are talking about. I don't watch basketball. Okay, so that's about all the time we have. And so one last question. So
Yes.
for all our viewers out there who want to be a coach, can you tell us any tips on how to become a coach?
your biggest advice of how to be a coach?
Oh man, this is well. Since you guys are in high school, I probably shouldn't say some certain things. If you want to be a coach, my thing is, I think you really have to immerse yourself in the game, and you have to do it for the right reasons. Okay, because sometimes coaches like if you do things for the wrong reasons, I feel like you won't be successful in life. So for me, it's always been about, coaching is about service and helping other people. Okay, for me, I want to help my players achieve their goals, their dreams. That is really what I want to accomplish as a coach. So if I have some players who their dreams are to get a college scholarship, to finish college, because some of them don't have the opportunity to pay for college, so their family can't afford it. So I try to help them improve so that they can maintain their scholarship. For the pros to help them improve not only on the court but off the court. So for me, if you ever want to be a coach, you have to keep things in perspective and do things for the right reason. Okay, it's really about service and helping other people.
Thank you for that, Paolo.
Before
Well,
we wrap up, is there anything you wanna say? Any announcements or things you want to share?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on this podcast. For a long time, I don't know if they still have it at Brent, but there used to be like a weekly assembly, and they would have alumni or like people come in and talk about their career. So that's what I always wanted to talk about. Like I wanted to go back to Brent and share about my story. I didn't share the full story with you guys, but it was a long journey to get to where I am. I'm hoping that I was hoping that would help inspire other people. Um, for me, for whoever's listening to this podcast, it might be just 5 people, it might be 50, might be 5,000. I don't know how many viewers you guys have. But especially since you guys are all young, don't be afraid to pursue your dreams. To give it a shot. Don't be afraid of failing. You guys are really young. It's you're going to make mistakes. It's better to learn them early on if you're going to fail. And don't be afraid to go after what's in your heart, because that for me was the thing that the advice that I followed when I was young. I always knew when I was same age as Pablo over here, 17, 16, 15 years old, I knew I wanted to be a coach. So of course, along the path, there's other influences in your life, other circumstances, but I knew deep in my heart that that's what I wanted to do. And I followed my heart, and it's really been a blessing to be a coach. I've made so many great relationships with both players and coaches, and I've lifelong friendships. It's really been a big blessing in my life. So that would be my advice, whether it's sports or not sports related. Just follow what's in your heart.
Thank you so much, Paulo, for joining us. Pablo, any closing words?
So that's been it, folks. I'm Pablo,
I'm not Pablo.
and this is Over the Hump. Catch you next week.
Wait, I don't have much space to like grow. I can't stand up either.